example of you, then I will keep the English education study program. You may start from cover of your thesis, then you have an abstract. Remember that later on, when you write down the abstract, it should consist only 3 parts. The first is the aim of your study, and then the second one is the research methods for paragraph 2, and paragraph 3 is concerned with the findings that you have. Okay, and then statement of authorship. Okay, then you have an approval sheet. You only have one supervisor for your thesis to minimize the conflict across your supervisors. That is why the policy of this university only assign one supervisor to accompany you in completing your study with the use of a thesis writing. Then you have ratification sheet, everybody, by having the title and then your name, student number, and then board of examiners select one. Yeah, it depends on the format. You may have one for all the board examiners or one by one, that's okay. Okay, then acknowledgement. I think you have been familiar with acknowledgement, the important, the necessary people who are addressed to acknowledge your writing, everybody. And then you have a table of contents with the use of the following format, introduction, etc. So when you deal with thesis proposal writing, you are concerned with introduction. That consists of some elements such as background of your study, identification of the problems, and then formulations of the problems. But before you come to the formulation of the problem, you have a limitation of the problem, then formulas of the problem, objectives of the study, significance, etc. Then you have literature review, reviewing the issues, I mean, the keyword that exists on your problems. You start with point A. This is literature review. Then we have theoretical review, defining translanguaging, defining task group strategy or technique, as mentioned by your friend, and then speaking. It depends on the keyword that exists in the problems, micro language skills, macro language skills, and the like, everybody. Then you have a review of relevant studies. So when you deal with theoretical review, you struggle hard to review all of the keywords which are used to solve the problems, to reveal the problems that you have with regard to the title of your research. Take, for example, you have 2 keywords, namely task group strategy. So you explore the nature of task group strategy, and then the nature of speaking, the definitions of speaking, types of speaking, the aspects of speaking, and then the next one is speaking instructions, the model, the technique, the media, etc. So it depends on the areas of the study. Then you come to point B, review of relevant studies. Remember that when you deal with relevant studies review or review of relevant studies, you may apply IMR and D. I stand for introduction, embodying 2 issues. The first is the background of your study, etc., and the grand theory that you used to solve the problems. The second one is method. M stands for method. So you explore the procedure of the research, conducted by the previous studies, conducted by the previous researchers with regard to their thesis or their research activity. At the end of exploring the relevant studies, you have to justify that my research is different from the previous studies in the sense of problems, probably, in the sense of the grand theory or main theories, and then different in terms of the procedure of the research, etc., the locus, the setting, the subjects, the techniques, etc. So you have to strengthen or qualify the novelty of your study after you review the previous studies. The next one is conceptual framework, making link among the keywords. And then the last one is research questions. Research questions are concerned with the more specific formulations of the questions with regard to the first chapter. Take, for example, if you have two problems in the first chapter, you may reduce, you may generate the two problems into 6, into 4, or into 3, into 10, etc. So it depends on the area of your research, everybody. Then the next one is research method, research types of the research, whether it is categorized as quantitative research, qualitative research, the collaboration between qualitative research and quantitative research, case study, etc. So you have to write down there. Then setting, participants, ethical considerations, if any, and then data sources, the instruments of data collection, techniques of data collection, technique of data analysis, reliability, validity, or triangulation, etc. Again, it depends on the nature of your research. Take, for example, if you have a data collection technique and instrument, guide, observation guide serve as the instrument, but the technique must be observation. Interview guide serve as the instrument. Interview should be the technique of data collection. So again, it depends on your selection of the instruments, techniques of data gathering or data collection. Then you have trustworthiness, credibility, transferability, dependability, confirmability, etc. Because the nature of this research is qualitative one. That's why we need trustworthiness. Then data analysis technique, direct observation data, interview data, the document, artifact data, etc. Then you come to research findings and discussions. You may use this template, but later on after you conduct data gathering. Yeah. Participants, questions. These findings should meet the problems that exist in the first chapter, and these findings should answer the problems or the questions that you write down in chapter 2, everybody. Then you have a discussion, pedagogical implication, theoretical implication, etc. should be discussed there. So what? This is the key what you do with discussing. Then you may have a limitation of the research, but you may switch the limitation of the research on chapter 5. That's okay. Conclusion, implications, suggestions, etc. So in the discussion, you have to give further explorations on the findings by making link between the existing keywords or among the excellent keywords that you got. So this is the format of your thesis later on, but for the thesis proposal, you have to focus on the three issues. Oh, sorry.